Well. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Skews Day to you. It's July 16th, 2024. If y'all came back, I recorded a little controversy last week, so I appreciate y'all still watching that are watching right now. We're still the same guys. I'm Trey. That's Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Good, man. I hadn't noticed what you titled the show till we just went live. Trump yet lives is like,
hmm
yeah, a man literally dodged a bullet. What are you going to do? So a couple things before we get to the show. Bob Menendez got convicted. Please fuck off and resign. Chuck Schumer called for him to resign. A bunch of people just like don't make them boot you out of the Senate. Can you please just go away? But I just want to point out that Joe Biden's highly politicized Justice Department has so far succeeded in convicting the Democratic chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and his own son. So really,
Right.
just
Meanwhile, on
yeah.
the Trump
Meanwhile,
side of things,
yeah,
his
Eileen
case
Cannon
got
threw out
thrown
his
out by his plant
yeah.
in the judiciary. Yeah, Eileen Cannon, however you say it. But so on that, real quick, I saw people that I'm law dumb, obviously. I saw some people saying like that might actually be a good thing because they can appeal it to the 11th Circuit, whatever that is, which has busted her ass down before for this type of shit.
Mhm.
So it may end up kind of
Yeah.
working out, but who knows?
They could also try to get her case reassigned for her or whatever. Well, or they
Yeah,
could also just move it to try to move it to DC. It's like, but it doesn't matter if Trump gets reelected. He's going to tell the Justice Department
well,
to
that's
not
true.
prosecute him. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, whatever. It's just a Democratic president norming his own son into prison is just fucking hilarious to me. They believe it. They believe in their stuff, man. You gotta respect it. Another fun little story. Let me read this headline to you. Gay furry hackers claim credit for hacking Heritage Foundation files over Project 2025. Who's out there fighting for us, Trey?
Bro.
Gay furry
Gay
hackers.
furry
That's
hackers. What an ad lib that is. It's like almost Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle level. Usually one more adjective in there, making that wild as hell. It's like I didn't. I mean, that's pretty niche, man. Well, I don't know how much overlap there is between like queerness and furrydom or whatever. Like how many
mhm,
furries are all. I have no idea how those stats break down. But then you add
mhm,
that to hackers,
mhm.
and yeah, getting pretty specialized here. But I appreciate their
Yeah.
efforts.
Reminds me of Great Giraldo's old great bit about how Siegfried and Roy made him believe in true love because what are the chances of one gay lion tamer meeting another gay
Yeah,
lion tamer?
yeah, right. Yeah.
uh, yeah, so yeah, it's like yeah, they said they got to bundle a bunch of passwords and shit, see what comes of it. Heritage Foundation, of course, is saying that they did not get owned by the furry gay hackers. I just like it's so weird. We're in such a weird place in 2024 where the liberal vanguard is leave it to who's going to do anything about Project 2025? Nobody in power, it seems, but gay furry
Mhm.
hackers are all over it. One last thing I want to talk about. So after after we talked last week and everybody got mad at us, George Clooney wrote a letter, like an op-ed in the New York Times, saying that he'd at a fundraiser he'd hosted that a bunch of Democratic bigwigs are at. I guess maybe Obama was there too. It
Yeah.
felt like to him, Biden had lost a step and he was calling for
And
them to like give some
that
extra shine.
fundraiser, first of all,
Hmm.
Marine One flew over my house twice that day, so that's neat. Anyway,
Hmm.
that fundraiser made headlines already for a couple of First of all, that was Jack Black's first controversy politically because he made a thing at that fundraiser and like American flag overalls, pro Biden. People got real pissed about that, felt betrayed. Whatever. He'll come up later, but also at that there was one of those clips that people were pulling out and showing of it was like I think it was like Obama having to lead Biden off the stage or something like
Hmm.
that. And a lot of people were like, this is out of context, this whatever else. It wasn't like Gavin Newsom, I know, said he was like, I was there. He was sharp as a tack the whole time. So it had already come up. And for George Clooney to then come out later and be like, yeah, I was there too. I was one of the people throwing it. And he was not sharp as a tack. In fact, it was alarming, and people got very pissed at him too.
Yeah, I always want to say about Gavin Newsom, like I know I'm predisposed to dislike the motherfucker because he's been my shitty governor for a long time. But like, I know he wants to run for president because I get Gavin Newsom ads all over my social media,
uh,
even though he's not up for anything. All right, he's always picking. He had that stupid debate with Ron DeSantis when he says something to factor in is that he wants there to not be an incumbent Dem to run against in 2028 if we're still having elections. All right.
right.
So
That's a
like
good point.
if Kamala's on the ticket as the vice president and has a loser stink on her, that's a clear field for him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like, don't trust the motherfucker. Like it's
Right.
like it's like you see what Gavin Newsom says, you can just throw it out. Don't believe anything he says. Anyway, so in response to Clooney's op-ed, Donald Trump released this statement. Donald Trump fires back at George Clooney over Biden op-ed. Quote, he should get out of politics and go back to TV. Movies never really worked out. Which, look, George Clooney has some banging movies. He's also made a bunch of piece of shit movies, but I think in general, his career has gone fine.
I mean, dude, he's like objectively A-list, yeah. But
Right.
you know, it's like Trump's like he ain't got no Home Alone 2 on that resume. I can tell you that much. But yeah, no, dude, Michael Clayton, that's one of the best movies ever made, as far as I'm concerned.
Me too. Love. I'll watch it tonight. I'll watch it tonight.
The Ocean's movies are great. They're great fun. Was it
Not
No
12.
Way Out or Set It Off? What?
Out of Sight.
Out of Sight. Yes, Out of Sight.
Out of Sight's great.
A good one.
I'm a big fan of The American. What's the Peacemaker? He's in with Nicole Kidman. He's got some
Peacemaker,
bangers
that's a
in
good
there.
one. Yeah.
All right. He also made The Men Who Stare at Goats and shit. But we'll just forget about it. Anyway, I just wanted to raise that point that Donald Trump really, really wants to run against Joe Biden. So I just wanted to point that out.
Right.
Hey, maybe he's wrong. Maybe it won't work out for him. I don't know. Things seem to generally work out for him pretty good, though. I just want to point that out.
All right. Producer Matt's with us doing his thing. We're glad y'all are back. This is Weekly Skews. I want to remind y'all of a few things real quick. Number one, if you'd like to see me do stand-up live in person, and you should, this weekend shows were pretty crazy. For a lot of reasons, go to TreyCrowder.com. Come see me. Thanks everybody that came to Tulsa. I got a big New York and Connecticut run coming up, upstate and Brooklyn and Connecticut. So it's going to be fun. And then a bunch of places after that. So go to TreyCrowder.com. While you're there, you can check out me and Corey's book, Round Here and Over Yonder, if you want. It's a comedic travel log. It's a fun time. We read the audio books if you're into that. And then lastly, if you enjoy this program, I'd like to show your support. You can do so by signing up on Patreon, weeklyskews.com/more, or you can go on Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. $5 a month to get access to full-length bonus episodes. We do 2 a month. We got one coming up this week where I imagine we'll talk about what other insane thing happens in the next couple of days, presumably. But it's a lot of fun. So as for the show tonight, we weren't really sure what to talk about. Kind of slow news cycle, not a lot going on. So we had to just kind of really, put our heads together and try to throw a show together for you guys. But I think we came up with some stuff that may interest you. Oh, wait, no, I'm kidding. Trump almost got shot to death. He got barely shot a little bit, and then picked our old friend J.D. Vance to run as vice president. So we've got some things to talk about. But first, the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Today's DD is whoever Tim Scott's wedding venue was for thinking they could keep that deposit without a fight. Here we go. This is, Tim Scott.
And next thing we know, you proposed in
January 20th, yeah.
Okay, Keel Island.
Keel Island.
Well, it was one of the coldest days in January this year. I got out there, and it was a beautiful Kiowa sunset, and
cold as
it was very cold. I had my gloves on, and he told me to take my gloves off. I said, no, I'm going to keep them on. It's chilly.
Yeah. So we're walking out to the
Until you
beach.
saw the ring.
Yes.
Well, until I saw him get on his knee. I was like, okay.
So going down to my knee, I just saw this.
So this slow girlfriend rollout over the past few months to get the vice presidential nomination is one of the funniest things. First of all, I don't even know what the news is anymore, but I do not remember there being human interest stories on the news before about senators getting fiancés.
Not on national cable news. You know what I mean? I feel like, every now and then news at 10, there'd be a surfing squirrel or something like that. You got to throw in there locally.
Well, surfing squirrel's interesting. This is not interesting.
That is, it's pretty impressive.
So, but it's oh, I had no idea. We were just casually taking a walk on the beach in the dead of winter by a photographer, and I had no idea he was going to propose for this media rollout.
Right.
This is so fucking funny.
And
but
so,
anyway,
now the person asked him in the interview is about the criticism that you're only doing this to get the VP pick or whatever. He's like, what? That's crap. But what was it that Trump said when he announced he was engaged? Trump, he said something that was nobody ever thought that shit was going to happen or something like that. He's like, you get married, really? Nobody would have thought that. Pretty funny.
Yeah. Not saying what we're not saying, but there was a quote from a Grindr CEO saying that the RNC is their Super Bowl for their app. So I don't know why they made this man get his first girlfriend at 50-something years old to get them a failed run at a vice presidential nomination. I don't know who makes these decisions or what they're for. Anyway, he's not the vice presidential nominee for the Republicans. It's JD fucking Vance.
Mm-hmm.
And not for nothing, we're going to talk about the shooting a little bit, but probably what sealed it is he put this extremely stupid tweet he posted. The central premise of the Biden campaign is that President Donald Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs, which is true. That rhetoric led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination. Not remotely fucking true.
No.
And we'll get to talk about the shooter in a little bit, but the idea that Joe Biden's fiery rhetoric could inspire someone to murder is one of the most twisted things I've ever heard in my entire fucking life.
Yeah. But it's just like it's like that, we stoke violence and division and all this stuff throughout the country in an alarming rate and to a frightening degree. And the fact that y'all criticize that, that makes you the insane ones. You know what I mean? Like we're ones being like, hey, you're kind of scary with that rhetoric you've got. And it's like, you're going to have people killed, pointing out how scary our rhetoric is. Like, that's basically the argument.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
literally,
it's what y'all do.
Literally waving the bloody shirt.
I mean, dude, it's like people pointing all these things out, but in 2016, Trump saying the whole like, can't do anything about Hillary. Well, maybe some of the Second Amendment people, maybe they could do something about Hillary. And then obviously the Proud Boys and January 6th and all that. Then there's Paul Pelosi, the plot for Gretchen Whitmer and all this type of, stuff. Like, it's not, they've done a lot of that. I don't know what you can point to outside of the Democrats pointing that out and being worried about it. I don't know what else you could point to that the Democrats have done as it pertains to any of this,
Say another candidate, their policies are un-American. It's normal inbounds campaigning, right?
Right.
It's not usually inbounds accusing someone of treason, saying they should be hanged, for example. After the shooting, Marjorie Taylor Greene got on social media, made a post about how Democrats need to tone. I'm paraphrasing here, but she did use the phrase, Democrats are all pedophiles. In a post, she said they need to tone down the rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what I'm saying is you don't have to take any of these people at their word. Anyway, the politics of picking JD is weird because Trump's going to win Ohio no matter what. JD Vance doesn't have some huge fan base outside of Silicon Valley right-wing psychos.
Right. Yeah, I've seen people on the left be like, no, I mean, this is good. This is like the best pick he could have made, really, because JD Vance brings nothing to the table, in terms of, because typically a VP pick is meant to shore up some other aspect of the base or demographic or whatever. And he's just kind of like, a younger wannabe Trump. Like, he's not, he doesn't accomplish any of that. So,
what he probably got was access to Elon Musk's and Peter Thiel's checkbooks.
Right.
Like Elon Musk said he's going to spend $45 million a month on a Trump super PAC after he announced JD. So that might be it. But the politics of it is like pretty stupid. Like, if anybody's wondering, JD Vance underperformed Trump by 2 points in a state that was supposed to be trending right. So the right wing vote share should have went up over 2 years. And there was a midterm election where in a year we had 8% inflation. And he probably would have lost the primary if big donors didn't bail him out. Also, like his biggest supporter, Peter Thiel, has a literal blood boy.
Yeah.
And how this should be such a fucking layup of an election. Like, it's insane that it's even close, much less Republicans have a good shot at winning.
Right. I know. That's what a lot of us are super worried about.
Right.
It feels like it should be, should be in the bag, especially with incumbency and considering who the opponent is. I said this on stage this past weekend, but it's like, it reminds me of a few years ago, the Tennessee Vols had not lost a football game to Kentucky in like 30 straight years. And in the run up to our game that year, the Kentucky coach was giving his press conference. It's like, I don't have any quarterbacks left. Our quarterback got hurt. We have no quarterbacks on this team. We are literally going to start a wide receiver who's never played quarterback. He's going to be playing quarterback this week. That's the best I can do. He's like freaking out. And then they still beat us 21-14 for the first time in 30 years. That was during the Derek Dooley administration. Anyway, this election just sort of feels like that to me right now.
Running at the top of the ticket, a guy with 34 felonies and who's also separately found liable for sexual assault. And number 2 on the ticket's a guy who hangs out with the guy who was a blood boy, who said stuff like that women, police need to track abortions.
But he also there's so many proven examples of him talking shit about Trump, years ago. Like he was a never Trumper. Like he was saying liberals comparing Trump to Hitler is what led to this, but he himself called Trump Hitler in 2016 and a bunch of other, like there's interviews you can look up where he's calling him a cynical asshole and a threat to the country and saying, I'm a never Trumper. And when I met JD in 2016, that's all the stuff he was saying. They've got that too. I feel like you could just make campaign ads of just going back and forth between the the super anti-choice rhetoric of him and coupled with the bad things he says about Donald Trump or whatever, just roll those out there.
Those like hypocrisy doesn't really work as a charge in American politics, not on the right anyway. But like JD does have an answer to that. He doesn't. It's not hypocrisy; it's a conversion. He basically had a road to Damascus moment where he became a MAGA guy. So that's his version of the story. Is that like he fell for the liberal media's lies about Trump, and then once he got to know him and got to know that he became more familiar with his policy agenda, that he understood that he's right. Now he's come around. So like. That's not going to, I mean, it might work in a campaign ad. It's not going to work on the MAGA base at all because that story makes sense to them. Other thing that should be really embarrassing or campaign defining or like campaign ending, RFK Jr. has a documentary crew follow him around or whatever. And they posted it. Trump called him. He had him on speakerphone and told him that he agreed that vaccines cause autism and promised RFK Jr. a job as administration if he dropped out and endorsed Trump. And they posted it, and then RFK took it down and said he was sorry because it made Trump look bad. But like, you're supposed to, first of all, you're running against the guy. You're supposed to make him look bad. And this is how we're going to end up with RFK Jr. as head of the FDA or some shit. Yeah. Anyway, among the MAGAs, JD's not super popular. They don't trust him, which understandable. But the reason they don't trust him are some of the same ones that we do, that will say anything to whoever's in front of him to get more money and power. But also there are other reasons. For one, they found out that his wife is brown. Mm-hmm. If you got this video clip, here's Nick Fuentes on his stream. If you want to throw this up, Matt.
JD Vance also has a non-white wife, an Indian wife, and a kid named Vivek. All his kids have Indian names. So it's like, what exactly are we getting here? And that's not a dig at him just because I'm a racist or something. It's like, who is this guy really? Do we really expect that the guy who has an Indian wife and named their kid Vivek is going to support white identity?
All right, you got it. Fuck that guy. So Fred is going to come up again later in the shooting segment, I think. But one of the things that led people to believe that JD was otherwise cool was he has an interracial, interfaith marriage to a woman he met at law school. Her name's Usha. She's Hindu, or she was when they got married. No idea how they're raising their kids or whether she converted to Catholicism with him. I didn't see that reported anywhere. They got 3 kids, Ewan, Mirabelle, and Vivek. And so I don't know how, I haven't been married to a white lady. I don't know how you choose names for your kids, but like giving one a family name seems probably cool. But like, don't make me feel empathy for JD fucking Vance with this shitty racist take. So as far as like talking about JD being a hypocrite or JD changed, I think probably what happened to him is he got radicalized just from being online, like happens to a lot of people. But also this story from 2022 resurfaced about his radicalization. Let me quote here. When the Hillbilly Elegy movie came out on Netflix in 2020, it was not just critically panned, but greeted with intense online mockery. And the tenuous cultural diplomacy achieved by the book seemed to unravel for good. Rotten Tomatoes audience score 83%, critics score 25%. According to Vance's best friend from Yale, Jamil Javani, the wounding commentary was the, quote, last straw in his falling out with elites. So Ron Howard made a movie about you starring Glenn Close and Amy Adams, and you hate elites because people made fun of it.
Right.
And so it's like someone wrote a bad review of my movie, so now I'm going to blow up the moon.
Dude,
it's sort of like what happened here.
I mean, I'm sure this like contributed to it, but I don't know. I feel like if you look at JD's whole background, comes from nothing, ostensibly ends up at Yale, Marines, law school, Silicon Valley, all this stuff, and then, rises to prominence or whatever with big billionaire backers. It all seems aimed at politics to me. Like that's like you could scripted background for a character with political ambitions. It's like, especially him being, Peter Thiel's bitch and whatnot, and apparently has been for a long time. It's like, it feels like they probably had designs on this for a while, I would imagine. And as far as the radicalization, he knew there was no other way through. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to be, you just have to be that. Like you got to have Trump's support. You got to be MAGA or whatever. I feel like there was no other viable option for his political career. And so I feel like it just feels all just like opportunistic, like bullshit to me is what I'm saying. Like the idea that like something happened to him and he genuinely turned into this other person. I just feel like he's been full of shit the whole time.
I think he's genuinely become a bigger asshole.
Yeah.
And as far as needing to be MAGA to get elected, Ohio's other senator is Sherrod Brown. So like, what you're saying is like,
oh, you mean like, I didn't mean, I was taking it for granted that he would not ever run as a Democrat is what I meant.
No, I'm saying like the idea that you have to be MAGA to get elected is like not, I realize that we're all run by venal cowards, but it's just not, I mean, I'm saying there's evidence that it's not necessarily true is what I'm saying. But like, considering Ohio's other senators, a fairly left-wing Democrat. And I just wanted to bring up, like, people get bad movie reviews often. Roland Emmerich once got Siskel and Ebert Roper, wrote bad reviews give bad reviews to Independence Day. So in his next movie was a Godzilla movie. He put characters in there named Ebert and Roper and made them asshole mayors of Chicago. All right, so like,
that's fun.
That's also psychotic, but it's not. I'm going to destroy the country because people laughed at my movie on the internet.
Also, Independence Day rules, so I feel like it was out of line with that. Yeah. But anyway,
welcome to Earth.
Yeah.
So that's how he got here. So why did Trump pick him? And so this New York Times piece, how JD Vance won over Donald Trump. Basically, the summary is he's a good ass kicker and a good ass kisser. And I told you about that up top. I should have not known not to believe the media's lies after how they did my book, basically. Trump also told outlaws that Mr. Vance was smart and handsome, quote, those beautiful blue eyes, he'd say repeatedly. He does have blue eyes. It's nice blue eyes. Like that. Also, the third one struck me as fucking hilarious. Tucker Carlson told Trump that in a June phone call that he believed that that if he chose a neocon as his vice president, the abbreviation for neoconservative, then the U.S. intelligence agencies would have every incentive to assassinate him in order to get their preferred president. Now, that's making the case that the assassination attempt made him make this pick because he if it was the deep state trying to kill him, he wanted to make it clear as another MAGA guy on the ticket, and not somebody more moderate or some neocon. But this is sort of like gives away the game to me so much. Like, I hate neocons because they say they want to spread democracy at the point of a gun, which doesn't work. But what they really want to do is spread capitalism at the point of the gun, at the point of a gun, which is just, colonialism.
Yes.
But they hate it, not because they hate using the gun, but because they don't think it's even worth it to spread democracy. And I think that's just fucking stupid and awful. They just don't like democracy and don't think it's worth fighting for. But so yeah, the RNC is going on. I'm sure we'll have content from it on our episode later this week. But I wanted to, just for a laugh, I wanted to watch this video from there earlier today in Milwaukee where Rudy Giuliani fell down. You got that, Matt? That's
always great.
He's drunk as fuck, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
All right.
Rudy, still out there doing it. All right.
He's fine, by the way. He was filming stuff later, so we're not laughing at a guy who just died. Not that I have. Anyway, so we'll get to that in a second. So
let's get into it. Yeah, in case you missed it.
What happened over the weekend?
Yeah, have a good Saturday. How was yours? Yeah, mine was weird because 15 minutes before my early show at the Tulsa Looney Bin started, the manager walks in the room and says, Donald Trump has been shot. And we were like, we were like, okay, well, you're going to show us like a picture of a big black dick or Rick Rollins or something like that. It's like, you're clearly joking, right? He was like, no, he got shot. And when you just say that, you're like, is he dead? Is he whatever? And then everybody pulls out your phone, starts looking at it, and you realize, oh shit, he did get shot, but just barely. He's clearly fine. And then it's just a million thoughts a minute after that, at least for me. My mind
I do want to say
which way.
I got pepper with buckshot once in a hunting accident. I think I mentioned on just nothing serious at all. I just picked it out myself, but I just want to say there's no such thing as getting barely shot. Right. When you get shot, it's like, holy fucking shit, I got shot. So, but anyway, so what happened over the weekend? I will let Charlie Kirk and Representative Corey Mills kick off the vibes for us with what did or did not happen over the weekend.
Guys, this is very important stuff. Congressman Corey Mills, we were an inch and a half away from an American Civil War.
We were millimeters.
Guys, this is very...
Oh my God, no, we weren't. We're not. Everyone has been so weird about this, and it's like when we were texting earlier about what we're going to talk about today, and you seemed surprised when we were talking about the shooting because this is already
no. I thought you were saying we weren't going to talk about JD, and I was surprised by that. But obviously, we're talking about both, so it's fine. No, of course I knew we were going to talk about this.
The news cycle moves so fast. This already feels like it didn't happen or like a non-event, right?
Yeah.
Like I was at a routine doctor thing yesterday, and they had the Today Show on in the locker room, and Hoda Kotb, she pivots from talking about leading celebrity news about how Dr. Ruth died, and turns to the camera and goes, "Oh, by the way, my thoughts and prayers go out to Donald Trump and his family in this time." And that this papal kind of dude said next to me, he goes, "Oh, give me a break." And in that moment, I couldn't tell whether his "oh, give me a break" was because someone was sending well wishes to Donald Trump and his family, or because she's a member of the liberal media and he doesn't really mean it. Or because no sane person would turn to camera and say that in that moment, in that way, during a celebrity news segment on the fucking Today Show. It's like there's so much bullshit there. I couldn't tell what part offended him because honestly, I was offended by all of it. And like I sort of get well wishes if you're like a responsible person who has to like appear civil and above the fray. I get why Joe Biden would put out a statement or whatever. Yeah. And I also get saying nothing.
Right. Saying nothing it seems like it would, but again, like Biden, they're running against each other, and he's the president, whatever. He's got to say something. But yeah, a lot of these people that are going out of their way to, talk about how our hearts go out to him type of thing. It's like, you ain't got to say that. Like me, we can debate this or whatever, but I do not think it would have been a good thing if he had been actually assassinated, right? Like, I think that could have gone really, really badly. And so, like, I'm glad that he ain't dead, but I still wish that I'm glad he didn't die from that. But, it wouldn't not hit for me if he did die in a provably accidental or disease-ridden way. Sure. Yeah. That'd be great.
If he tripped and fell in a septic tank, we'd do a whole episode on it.
Popping bottles would be great, right? But anyway.
So well wishes say nothing, but the well wishes that are clearly lies, the weirdest ones to me. Like Liz Cheney put out a statement. It's like, we have our differences, but he's a husband and a father. And it's like, lady, he just called for you to be hanged for treason a week ago. You're not even in office right now. You can literally just fucking say nothing. Like, just go about your Saturday. And it's all these people have been running around for the past decade comparing Trump to Hitler, or immediately like, I wish Hitler a speedy recovery. It's so fucking weird to me. And then you brought up Jack Black earlier. All right, Tenacious D. So just an example of how fucking stupid everything's gotten, and how like we're all all in public relations now. Yes. We can't say, hey, maybe somebody else should be the candidate because we're not effectively supporting Biden, or that so it was Kyle Gass's birthday at this show. I think they were in Australia.
They were.
And Jack Black brings him out a cake and asks him what his birthday wish is. And he says the Trump shooter doesn't miss until next time. Right now, I didn't even know about the joke. I only heard about the controversy when Jack Black canceled the rest of the tour and essentially broke up with his best friend of 20 years over it.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I did see it went like viral, and I saw that he had said that, and of course Republicans like, absolutely despicable. Like, I saw all that, but I still was very shocked that he canceled the whole tour. Saw a bunch of speculation, bunch of PRE type of speculation saying like they were going to do like these rock the vote shows, like get people out to vote, supposed to be nonpartisan, don't really fly when you're talking about killing one of the candidates or hoping that they die or whatever, that he did that speech for Biden. He was going to do a bunch of other stuff for the Biden campaign. And maybe they said like, hey, we can't be, we can't have people actively saying that they want him dead. Like we can't do that. And so that's why, or whatever. And then, so, I mean, who the hell knows? But I thought it was an extreme measure. I don't think you had to cancel the whole damn tour. And also breaking up with your best buddy. It makes me sad. Like, I hope they don't really hate each other. I love these guys.
If Joe Biden asked me to publicly denounce my best friend or I couldn't do campaign appearances, I feel like that'd be an easy choice till the campaign to fuck off and they could have somebody else do it. But whatever. It's just an example of England is a literal monarchy. All right. The queen dies. People are dancing in the streets who hate the monarchy. And nothing even happens to Donald Trump. And nobody can even make jokes about it without their best friends. It just felt like a very weird vibe and a very bleak sort of moment for something. It's like people since the dawn of time have joked about powerful people dying.
Right.
I'm not saying you wish for it. I'm saying you don't need to lose your minds.
Yeah. Kyle Gass's agency dropped him too. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, I feel bad for him because clearly I feel like it was an off the cuff moment. It was something that plenty of people were definitely thinking at that time. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like this is an outsized response to that. And it don't for me.
But it's perfectly, we've all been in traffic. We've all wished for people to die who we don't even know haven't really done anything to us.
Right.
It's a very human impulse. I'm not saying, I understand why it's not polite to say it out loud. I understand why people shouldn't. But like, my wife got an offender bender the other day. She was trying to parallel park. This guy made an illegal U-turn and drove into the side of her car. And then is denying it's his fault, even though he drove into the side of her car. There's no universe in which any sensible person, he yelled at her and he's refusing to give her his insurance over text. She's been wishing for that motherfucker's death for 3 days. It's like all he did was like bump her car. And it's like the idea, like, I don't understand this thing where we all become PR professionals. Like anytime, any sort of thing. It's very weird to me. And the way everyone's adjusted their rhetoric, even though no Democrat was involved in this at all, or no liberal, no leftist, it was a conservative shot another conservative for reasons that are completely foreign to anybody. We'll get to that in a second. They're all acting like they did it and they have something to apologize for, but they can't call Trump out for being a threat to democracy because even though he is. And two things can be true, like that Trump is dangerous and also attempting to murder him might also be dangerous.
Right.
Those two things are not in tension with each other.
Right. Exactly. I mean, yes.
You're just some sort of brain genius to say it. And I understand people's fears about if he had been assassinated. Like there probably would have been a bump in stochastic violence from people, gas up conspiracy theories, shooting up, I don't know, Democratic campaign offices or schools, however these motherfuckers operate. But how much more can we get at this point? This is just another example, but there was another mass shooting on Saturday. I think it was in Birmingham. 7 people got shot. So I don't know, man.
Even just that. I guess even if he did slip and fall into a septic tank, like you said, maybe this would still happen. Maybe it's inevitable. It's going to happen either way. But it also, for me, is just the martyrdom, the deification or whatever that they treat him like Jesus anyway. If he literally got martyred, I just don't want to live in that universe where that has happened is also part of it for me. But anyway, they were licking their chops hoping I joked about this on stage, but before anybody knew anything that it's like, this would end up being some transgender Marxist migrant with a drug problem, that shot him or wanted, and then it comes out it's a 20-year-old apparent conservative with gun nut family members with an AR, and it's like it's always the ones you most expect.
It turns out it's the same dude every time.
Every time,
it's the same dude. And if you guys
skinny loner white kid with a high powered rifle, and usually some fringe extremist political stances. Typically,
I don't even
right
think
leaning.
As far as he seemed like a moderate conservative. We'll get into that in a second. But I think he was just one of those mass shooter types who just wanted to get his name in the newspaper.
Right.
So congratulations, buddy. You did it, I guess. Sorry to the other people you hurt, but in case you guys somehow missed what we're talking about, A 20-year-old kid named Thomas Matthew Crooks, owned by Tom, I think, shot at Trump with, like Trey said, an AR-style weapon on Saturday at an outdoor event. He got within 150 yards and just set up on a roof over the course of a while. Like, there was a report today that the Secret Service watched him sit like in the shade under the building and use a rangefinder to figure out how far he was away from the target. 150 yards, like, that is not a long shot. If you guys are gun dumb, that is not a difficult shot. All right. Like, for Army basic training, they have to hit targets of like 300 meters, I think. So twice as far.
But yeah, no, they said, first of all, he said it's on a roof. Wasn't it like kind of the only roof in the vicinity, or like one of the few? Like, there weren't a huge number of buildings around anyway. Like, this was like one of the few vantage points that, like, usable for these purposes. And he just crawled up there. That, and also there's videos you could see of like people on the fringes of the crowd watching him go up there and like pointing and stuff and being like, hey, is that supposed to be? And just nobody, he just crawled up there. And
there was a BBC interview with a guy who was like, yeah, I live over there. We had a party. We just walk over to hear the speech. So see this guy like army crawling on the roof. I flagged down some cops. We're like, hey, is that supposed to be over there? That guy is, what's that guy up to? And they kind of ignored him. But then later, a cop did eventually walk up Crooks's ladder and to look on the roof and see what's happening. He saw he had an AR-15 and ran away. The Uvalde Trump, Trey.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to
didn't that guy, didn't the cop, way I heard it, that cop came up the ladder, saw him, like ducked, retreated, but the dude got freaked out knowing that he's found now and immediately shot right after that moment, right? The cop found him.
The guy probably did save Trump's
shot.
Yeah, right. The cop did save Trump's life despite being a huge coward.
Right.
But like, I don't know what people would. I've heard two possible arguments here. One is like, well, the cop's outgunned. He had an AR, and his hands are like his guns.
Yeah, it's not defensible position. Yeah, right.
Okay, but also like, let's pretend Trump's a normal president or presidential candidate for a second. Like, throwing your body into way is what you're supposed to do, right? I understand instinct takes over, but like running, like he's at least got to be clowned by the rest of cops for all eternity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about SOP, standard operating procedure, the rules of engagement, or nothing like that, whatever the term even is for how to respond in that scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely don't look good. None of it looks good. It's on the part of anybody that was involved with security that day. I mean, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Adding layers to how bad this was, a fuck up this was by the Secret Service. So the Secret Service bears an ultimate responsibility, but they're coordinating with local police. And apparently, they didn't have comms; so they could talk to each other. So the cops couldn't even tell the Secret Service that guy was there.
That is insane. Like how that? I don't understand how something like that happens or gets overlooked. Like that just seems so asinine. Is it part of how how like in the movies it's always like, this is our case or our jurisdiction. Nobody tell the feds. We know, like the different types of cops always hate each other because they're like, oh, those guys are losers or those guys are assholes and they never want to work together. It's like, is it just really like that? Like the Secret Service is like, we're not going to deal with these Barney Fife dipshits. Don't even give them our number. Like it's just crazy.
Also, the funny thing about those movie and TV situations is like every, in real life, it's way different. Like in real life, you don't want the case. It's like you're not taking this case away from us. It's like, man, like I was driving back from Vegas once and we're stuck in 9 hours of traffic because somebody had thrown a body out on the Nevada border, and the two state police agencies were fighting over who had to take the murder case.
That's it. You ever see that show, The Bridge? It was on FX a few years ago. That was kind of the inciting premise of that show. That's funny.
Yeah. So the dynamic here, Matt pointed this out, is like, so you can't take guns into presidential events for obvious reasons. And the local police are usually outside the event doing outside security. So Secret Service is the Praetorian Guard that's not actually under any threat usually, while they leave the state police outside to deal with the armed lunatics who show up outside of Trump rallies, right?
Right.
So there's that sort of class-based distinction going on here with why there might be some resentment. But also, like, I'm sorry, man, you got to take a bullet for the president, the presidential candidate. You can't peek up over there and see an assassin and then run away. Sorry, you can't do that. So yeah, Crooks managed to get 5 shots off before Secret Service sniper got him. But adding to the Secret Service fuck ups here, the more context. New York Times had a report today that the Secret Service had been warned by intelligence agencies about an Iranian plot to kill Trump in revenge for his ordering the killing of their general Soleimani a couple years ago.
See, again, insane. Like if that's true, the idea that they should be on. This is like them on high alert. Do you know what I mean? This is them at a heightened level of what should already be pretty stringent security. It's like, I don't know. It's like how many different times are the various forms of law enforcement in this country going to illustrate to us all that they're populated largely by dumbasses, evidently, or lazy motherfuckers or lazy dumbasses or whatever. But like, I don't know. It's just always some shit like this.
And in their defense, when the Secret Service was told about this increased Iranian chatter about killing Trump, they tried to have the Trump campaign move all the rallies inside, but Trump can't do rallies inside anymore because, as we talked about, he won't pay rent. He doesn't pay rent for these places.
Yeah.
He literally almost was so cheap he got shot in the fucking head.
Yeah.
And like, so the Secret Service obviously, well, they have an unmanageable protectee who won't pay enough money to go indoors. And they got threats not just from like random shooters, but the Iranian government. And so some mix of stuff that isn't their fault. But also conservatives are on the case, and they've discovered the real culprit. You'll never guess what it is. Broads.
Yep.
Obvious failure on the part of the Secret Service. You know, we're hearing, and it's reasonable to assume this because President Biden appointed all these people not to run their agencies for the mission that they've established for, but for DEI. Yes. For equity, so
30 by 30, they say.
And it sounds like that's exactly what this director of the Secret Service was all about. Right. So more focused on DEI.
Yeah. The director of the Secret Service is a woman. She has 27 years experience. I'm open to the idea that she's bad at her job. I just don't think she's bad at it because she has a uterus or what does or whatever. But like, or 2 X chromosomes. But this stuff has been all over the right lately. It wasn't just because this director's a woman. There was a female agent on Trump's security detail, and it, like this one actively killed me. This woman agent picture. If you got this, Matt.
Yeah, she was getting a lot of heat for sure. But yeah, here you go.
Yeah, it's Matt Walsh, conservative influencer. Why is the female agent ducking her head and exposing Trump? She's shielding his body. He's standing up tall to get a photo op when he should be ducking, but he's endangering agents' lives by not staying hidden. And the idea that like this DEI stuff is like so funny to me because they like a Secret Service agent's only job in that scenario once the shooting stopped is to jump in front of him. You're saying women can't be bullet stopping meat sacks?
Right.
What is the gender-based difference there?
Yeah, I know. It's just it's like the underlying implication is like, you know, as has been pointed out a bunch of times before, because if you get into it, it's like how that just means it's just like it should only ever be white guys doing things, right? Because anytime something bad happens and someone was involved that is not a white guy, they're like, this is DEI's fault. So it's like, so only white guys are supposed to have jobs that matter, evidently. But if you get into it with them, they'll be like, no, well, that's not it. The person most qualified for the job is all we're saying. Race should not be a factor at all. And it's like, you have no way of knowing whether or not these people are in fact the most qualified for the job by whatever metrics. You just know that they're not a white guy, which to you means they can't be the most qualified person for the job because it's all just racism, or sexism, both, whatever, bigotry.
Yeah. I think probably the most frightening part of the aftermath of this was like the religious fervor of it, because there was a lot of the Trump was chosen by God for this. Like he turned his head at the last second to look at a chart of
about the evils of Mexicans and stuff. Yeah, about immigration. Right. Yeah,
and if he hadn't done that, he probably would have got a hit more than just in the ear or whatever it was. Right. So like they're spinning that as like divine intervention,
turned his head or whatever. I mean, we got a clip for it. Yeah,
an extensible news network holding a tent revival, an event where people died.
Well, I'll say this. We can talk about the medical miracle. We can talk about the duck and the split-second decision, but there is no Donald Trump today without Jesus Christ this morning. I mean, we could be having.
So, dude, look, obviously this stuff sickens me too, and I find it alarming, and it's, it's like scary and don't hit for me. And I'm not a guy. I'll say this though, that motherfucker is the goddamn universe shines on him or something.
Oh, he's
like
the luckiest motherfucker to ever
right.
live.
It's insane. Like I can't stand him, but there's just no denying it at this point. Like fortune favors this guy for some reason. Like everything comes up down him, man, all the fucking time. Always.
From the
his whole
moment he was
life.
conceived.
Like, I know, right? That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's crazy,
Yeah.
Like it's never it's never the ones who most deserve it, who like get any kind, like he ain't gonna get no comeuppance ever. I don't think. No. He'll just keep falling bass backwards into hits for the rest of his natural life, and then be deified after he passes. And it's like, for what? It's maddening.
You look like, of course you can't tell this man he can't be president again. Like he's never, like everything he does work. Like he won the sperm lottery to a guy who had $400 million. He got to inherit it all because he lucked his way into ways to fuck out of it, the other inheritors out of their money. He goes bankrupt and gets richer off of it. Then he gets elected president. It's just Jesus Christ. So this God save Trump shit was everywhere. Marco Rubio tweeted it, God protected Trump. And here's the thing, to be clear, I'm not recoiling at the profession of faith. I find it perverse and blasphemous and gross in this context, but not just because they're talking about venal American politics on a cable news channel blanketed by ads for fucking Viagra and My Pillow and your analysis and shit. But
because people died, right?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, right. It's like God protected Trump, and in doing so, God also killed this guy and maimed these other people or whatever. Right.
God guided the bullet into a firefighter named Corey Comparatore, apparently, and they're fine with that. And two other guys were seriously injured besides the shooter and Comparatore. Comparatore apparently, look, I thought he died suddenly, like he was heading to a very vital place, but the story his family's telling is that he died shielding his wife and daughter. All right. And I won't begrudge them a little myth making about their deceased dad and husband. All right. He was a firefighter, obviously dedicated his working life to helping people, and maybe died protecting his wife and daughter. He was also active on social media where he made some pretty at least racist adjacent posts. And his last tweet was a reply to Cat Turd. Real duality of man stuff going on here.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, to me, it's sort of an example of like the meanness and stupidity and unleashed by this MAGA movement, that a guy who's an otherwise decent family man with a loving wife and daughter who had a job in public service could also like reply to Cat Turd's tweets.
Yeah, preach, man. I know. I mean, that's like, it's not a completely novel concept to me, being from where I'm from, and I'm sure you're the same. I've known so many people that were like, who are great people who have abhorrent political beliefs as far as I'm concerned, and that dichotomy's always been wild. A lot of people don't realize that it's true, but it is true. But yeah, it's definitely worse now for sure in the MAGA era.
I've seen people go straight from making racist jokes to helping people of color without missing a beat.
Yeah, right.
It's very hard to explain the headspace. But so New York Post talked to his Comparatore's wife. Her name's Helen. She told the Post that Biden tried to call, but she didn't want to speak to him just because, not for any anger reasons. She said, my husband was a devout Republican. He would not want me to talk to him. She said she does not hold the current president responsible for what happened to her family. I don't have any ill will towards Joe Biden. She said, I'm not one of those people that gets involved in politics. I support Trump. That's who I'm voting for, but I don't have ill will towards Biden. He didn't do anything to my husband. A 20-year-old despicable kid did. But also, the family's not heard from Trump at all. All right.
Right. Yeah, Biden's called and she wouldn't take the call, and Trump hasn't called at all, and it's all just like, it's pretty.
I'm gonna vote for Trump. Yeah,
pretty appropriate. Yeah, that whole scenario there's makes a lot of sense.
So, my immediate takeaway after this happened was that just for once, Trump was actually touched by the violent and paranoid reality he's like fought really hard. He's made his life's mission to create. I mean that in like the abstract sense that like threats to public officials have been steadily increasing since 2016. For example, there's some data here from a counterterrorism research center. From 2013 to 2016, there was an annual average of 38 federal charges involving threats to public officials. But since 2017, when Trump took office, that number steadily increased to 62 a year. So almost doubled since Trump's emergence as a political figure. And by the way, just yesterday, the Secret Service arrested a guy in Florida for threatening to, quote, slit Joe Biden's throat. All right. But also when I say struggle to create this moment, I mean this in a literal sense. Like there was a story that came out today, leaked campaign data from Trump's campaign, where they used micro-targeting to target the shooter's family with pro-gun messaging because they showed up as like likely Trump voters who would be attuned to the message that the libs are going to come and take your guns, so you should start shooting people.
Right.
So like this guy was created in a lab kind of. So let's get to who Crooks was for a second because we're running out of time. I prepped way too much show as usual. We'll probably talk about a lot of this in the Patreon episode later this week. His motives are a complete mystery to everyone.
Right.
The local news talked to his classmates from high school who said that some people said he was a bullied loner. Some said that's kind of bullshit. He was a loner, but nobody bullied him. People said that he was apolitical or kind of conservative. People just kind of assumed he was conservative because he like wore some kids kind of assumed he was conservative because he like wore camouflage and hunting outfits to class, which kids will make that assumption. During the shooting, he was wearing a T-shirt promoting, quote, the Demolition Ranch, which is a YouTube channel for gun enthusiasts. Now, I know what you probably think about gun tube accounts, but Demolition Ranch is like one of the most apolitical gun tubers.
That's what I'd heard. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's basically just like, we're going to shoot this old car with 4 different caliber rifles and see what size holes they make in it. It's just that kind of shit.
It is cool.
Yeah. So they reached out to the guy who runs Demolition Ranch. His name is Matt Carricker, and he just like was like, "What the hell?" He's all like, "I'm pretty sure." It's like, of course. Back to the kid for a second. To Crooks. Another kid said he definitely was a conservative. Like their history teacher would have them do like mock debates about like political issues, and he always took the conservative side. So would take that for whatever you mean. But like nothing he said was like super MAGA-y or crazy. It was just being, I don't know, taxes should be low kind of shit. And generally his personal life, nothing flagged as like a mass shooter type dude. He had just finished community college and was working as a dietary at a retirement home. There's just nothing.
It is
there.
weird. We were saying earlier, it's like it's always the same guy, but this guy is a little bit, the fact, like you said, it's like, oh yeah, he was conservative, but not an extremist, and that he was a loner, but not like, supremely explicitly troubled, and that nothing. It's just a wild ass thing for somebody to just pop up and do. And yeah, there's a million different, it's like he could have tried to John Lennon Donald Trump. Maybe he loved Donald Trump, and it was like that. It's like, and people are pointing this, and I've already said this too in the video I made, but like, I mean, the dude who shot Ronald Reagan was like trying to take Jodie Foster to the prom or whatever the hell. He was trying to, impress her. So it's like, there's just no fucking telling in the absence of like a manifesto or something, which he didn't leave. So
yeah, the guy who killed James A. Garfield. He was mad that Garfield didn't make him ambassador to France because even though he had no reason to think he should be made ambassador to France, that's what he was mad about. And like as far as experts can tell, he was like driven crazy because of his weird foreskin. All right. So like it's like the idea that like people trying to make sense out of nonsense will lead you to the same place the conspiracy theorists get. All right. So like the FBI cracked his phone. They didn't find any evidence of any motive. So it appears his political ideology was just like all these other guys. He's just a mass shooter type. It's just like the random loser to assassin pipeline has been well established for a very long time. And I know that no one likes to consider the terrifying randomness of the universe. And yet it's just what it is. It like, if he did have a motive, like this is just me pulling shit out of my ass. Like the conservative reasons to assassinate Trump do exist. They're not familiar to us or our audience, but like there are out there. For example, Nick Fuentes, whose video we showed above, he's been saying him and his group of followers won't vote for Trump because his campaign is controlled by Jews and pro-Israel neocons. Christian fascists like Fuentes and Alex Jones have been mad at Trump for distancing himself from the abortion bans in Project 2025. Here's the fun one. Alex Jones and Mike Flynn have also been saying that a Trump assassination could be good for his movement because it would spur a war of assassinations that Dems would lose.
All right. That's one way to look. I've also seen people speculate another conservative, thing, all the recent, the Epstein stuff and the accusation, all that, basically, they also kill all pedophiles or whatever.
Yeah.
And taking that to heart, maybe, or felt betrayed by him in whatever capacity. But again, it's just, who the hell knows,
I do want to say, like, by the way, if you wonder what Alex Jones is doing in the middle of all this, yesterday he was reporting on all the Trump news from Bohemian Grove, so he's never going to change. So I do got to say, as far as Crooks goes, it's an insanely good bit in our age of paranoia and disinformation to try to kill Trump and leave no reason or evidence why.
Yeah.
Just to become a blank slate for conspiracy theorists. And I know we're running out of time here. I do want to talk about one that came out of here. So BlackRock.
Yeah.
There were tons. There were like Jair Bolsonaro's son was posting conspiracy theories. Everybody went crazy on this, including people on the center left being like it was staged, which is also kind of extremely silly because you gotta think that the shooter volunteered to get murdered for this, which doesn't seem likely. So BlackRock is a hedge fund that's also a conservative boogeyman for reasons that are hard to like. I think it's because a lot of people left BlackRock to go work in the Biden White House doing economic policy, but also they do environmental, social, and governance investing. That's basically the entirety of it, as far as I can tell. But they also filmed like a YouTube promotional video about how they support teachers at Crooks's school that he appeared in for 1 second. This image of him in a BlackRock promotional video,
right,
that like a couple hundred people watched.
So now listen, does this mean that they went to this school to film this video, saw this kid and was like, let's tab him, let's put him into our secret assassin program we've got, or we could use him as a patsy and a few years from now, like they discovered him there, or that they had like that he was already part of the team, that they had been like prepping him since youth to be a secret assassin. And they did a terrible job, by the way. And they had that guy and they were like, we don't have enough extras for this internet teacher video. Let's use one of our secret assassins just to fill out some bodies in the room. You know what I mean? He can be an extra, he can pull double duty, right? Like what? You can't
MK Ultra train all day, Trey. Like sometimes it's to save money. You take your assassin, you put him as a background actor in a promotion.
Yeah, that's just smart. That's efficient.
My thing with conspiracy theories is even if you take them at their own logic, you got to think through the process of how it would get done. And like the fact that I admit that it's completely weird that this kid has no social media presence. A kid who's 20 years old in 2020. All right, that is insanely weird. That nobody knows this kid's political beliefs or motives, that he committed assassination without leaving behind a manifesto or like a Facebook, or like they wouldn't post on Facebook where it could be without making a TikTok about it or anything. These guys almost always go to their message board and say why they're doing what they're doing or whatever. I don't know. But the fact that there is no social media background for this kid, to me, is proof that there is no conspiracy. Because the first thing do you know the term building a legend, Trey?
I mean, I'm assuming it means like kind of using that to like set up the backstory that you want to suit the narrative you're trying to craft with your big frame job conspiracy you're putting together.
If you've seen a spy movie, like when they create like here's your new ID, here's your new passport, here's your Facebook page, it's backdated to 2014. Here's like you give somebody a cover identity. You would do the same thing for a patsy and a conspiracy, because there's really no point in doing a false flag attack and not having an enemy to blame it on.
Mm-hmm.
What happened here,
is
unless some new evidence comes forward, and I'm open to, is that some kid decided to shoot the president, or the last president, and maybe future president, presidential candidate, whatever you want to call Trump, and that's what happened. And then it's already passed through the ether because no one knows who to blame for it. So it's barely even a news story 3 days later, and we'll all forget it in 4 weeks. We'll all forget it in a couple more days, and then at that point, I will have been retroactively mad at Democrats for shutting down campaigning for a week over a story that Republicans aren't even mad about anymore.
Right.
So it's insane.
It is insane. Well, yeah, there's plenty more to talk about in terms of this very subject. And like Mark said, we'll be doing that this Friday, I assume, on our bonus Skews episode. So y'all sign up on Patreon if you want to see that. Also, just so you know, if you sign up on Patreon, you'll immediately get access to the entire archive of bonus Skews episodes, which at this point, there's got to be a, I don't know, 2, 3, whole shitload bunch of them anyway. So check that out. Either way, we appreciate you watching this show. Go to TreyCrowder.com. Get tickets. Come see me live. It's a lot of fun. I promise you'll like it. Well, I mean, I feel pretty confident you'll like it. And yeah, just keep watching here on Skews, and we'll keep broadcasting out to you. We appreciate y'all very much. Love you like chicken. Stay safe out there.